all for coming. We have a 2-minute little discussion on the 10th mountain before we turn on.
Thank you.
So, I'm Matt. I'm the current president of the New England chapter of the 10th Mountain Association. Thank you very much, Lori, you and Silver Streaks for doing this in Dick's memory. It was, he epitomized what all of the 10th vets were throughout their life. Their country asked them to go do a job. They went and did it, knowing that when they looked on the left and on the right, that their buddy had them. But what was, to me, more remarkable is what they did after the war when they came back. How they contributed to their communities, to the ski industry, Sierra Club, just
Vale, Cranmore, Attitash.
ski areas, instructors, people that learn how to ski and enjoy what we do. The tent always had a piece of that. I went to a military school in Vermont, Norwich University. I was in mountain cold weather. Les Hurley, 10th Mountain Vet, was the one that got that going. And then I went on to command the Mountain Warfare School. We trained all U.S. forces, or all Army forces in the United States Army. And a lot of the 10th vets used to migrate there and want to share their stories with us. So the other interesting thing is that when I was at the mountain school, I did get to bring Dick and his lovely wife Millie up to show him how the equipment had changed, the training, what we did. He absolutely loved it. While I was there, we hosted what was known as the International Association of Military Mountain Schools. You had the Austrians, you had the Germans, French, Spanish, and the list goes on. All these countries whose mountain soldiers live in the Alps. And two things I took away from that. One is that if you put them all in the same uniform, you took off their name tags, you took their patches off, they're the same bunch of characters. They love the outdoors. They got interesting senses of humor. When it's below zero and it's a really nasty day, they think it's kind of funny. They're always looking to see if their buddy's going to blink before they do, but they also know that their buddy's got their back, and that was universal. The other interesting point was that every year there's a group of mountain schools, and we train our soldiers in similar things. Now, when you're in the Alps, though, it's a little bit different than, you know, the little hills we have in Vermont. They come to New Hampshire, they'll say, you guys are close, but it's not the Alps. They rely on them, on their military, for search and rescue, pulling people off mountains and so forth. So every year, there's a problem that everyone has to show up at the conference and say, here's how we do it. And why they do that is it's better to train and understand how your allies do things in peacetime instead of trying to figure it out when people are firing bullets at you. And by the way, usually when you're in the mountains and you're at altitude, someone shooting is probably the last thing on your mind. You don't want to get caught in an avalanche. You don't want to freeze to death. You know, the environment is trying to get rid of you. So you already have that condition that you're dealing with. So the problem we had the last time I went was to take an injured mountaineer off the side of the mountain. So each country had set up their display, and the French had a guy hanging in a litter about, you know, halfway down. The Austrians had something really elaborate, really cool stuff. And if you think about it, it's what they do in peacetime to help their country. So our guys had a litter on the ground. We had, you know, 2 anchor points, and they're very minimal, very minimal. And one of the nicest things I've ever heard an Austrian say, they usually don't have a lot of nice things to do. They're not very complimentary, let me put it that way. But he says, you know what? He goes, these guys are doing it right. He says, because when you're at altitude and you're in the mountains, weight is everything. So if you can solve this problem, and very simply, with a minimum amount of equipment and figure out multiple ways to use the same equipment. That's something we should all think about. He says, the other thing I want to point out is that we take mountaineers and we make soldiers out of them. These guys take soldiers and have to make mountaineers out of them, and their task is much harder. So, Dick's generation, I got to know quite a few of those gentlemen, and every one of them remarkable in their own way. The guys I served with, same thing. I hear about generation this, generation that, generation this. I'm gonna tell you, after 9/11, the kids that were joining the U.S. Army and our military, they weren't doing it because someone wanted to send them to college. They were doing it because they wanted to be part of something bigger than themselves. And some of their parents couldn't figure that out. They were like confused that why would you want to go and get sent to some place where someone's going to try to kill you? That just did not compute for them. And it took their kids getting trained and going through it for some of them to realize how special their kids were getting after, how much better they were. So that's all I got. And if you had a chance to, if you were a 10th Mountain vet, thank you for being on the team. I never regret a day of it. I did 30 years. They made me leave, and that was a good thing. My friend Ray in the background, he did it. So if it would be really nice if we didn't have to have a military. It would be really nice if we didn't have to worry about these things. But we do, and thank God that there's still young men and women that want to meet the standard and exceed the standard and go and fight for the freedom and the liberty that we have. That's all I got. Thank you.
Can I say one thing? On July 14th, we have a 10th Mountain Memorial in Landon, New Hampshire. We have 114 crosses in memory of all these guys that have passed on. And if you're welcome to attend. It's free. And we have a luncheon at the end of that, a big social time. So been doing this since 2005.
I'll send it to you again. Once we get that.
Yep.
We'll also watch us through you all.
No, Mike, well, I didn't really copy, but